Do you want to know what the best year-round fragrances are for women? Then please do keep on watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you're visiting. Thank you so much for joining today. As already mentioned in the intro, today I'm going to be discussing year-round fragrances for women. And what that means is I feel like these are completely versatile to wear in all seasons. But before we get started on the list, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out and I will continue making fragrance content like this in the future. Now let's get onto the list. So the first fragrance that I want to recommend is by Goldfield Banks, and it is Silky Woods. Now, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you may have seen me speaking about this one in videos such as my top 10 wish list. And I have been lusting after Silky Woods for the longest time, and I am super happy to now have it in my collection. But I feel like this is truly fitting for a year-round fragrance. It's extremely versatile, and whilst it is quite a strong powerhouse of a scent, I do feel like you can wear this in spring and summer. I will certainly be wearing it in the summertime. I think it's absolutely incredible. Now the notes can seem a little bit scary because it does have some of those dense, thicker notes like tobacco. Of course, it's got the woods in there too. But what I truly get from this is a very sweet and edible vanilla. I also pick up the ylang ylang, which makes this extremely beautiful and a little bit waxy, if that makes any sense. And then you've got some creamy, silky woods, as the name suggests. So I do personally think this is suitable for all year round. Now, if there was a heat wave, would I reach for it? Maybe not. However, in the summer evenings, this would absolutely blossom on the skin and give you the most gorgeous sillage. You've got notes such as cinnamon, suede, saffron, and oud. And yes, they are heavy notes, but they are balanced out beautifully with the florals such as ylang ylang and jasmine. And then, as I mentioned, there is lots of vanilla in the base. And the vanilla to me is what is most prominent within this fragrance. And then the woods come secondary. There is a little bit of tobacco leaf in the base and musk. And I do feel like the tobacco is a little bit prominent, as is the suede, but I do find this so beautifully blended and it is very silky. So I would absolutely recommend sampling Silky Woods by Goldfield Banks if you have not already. And I am now also an affiliate for So Avant-Garde, which I am super grateful for because the majority of my watchers are from the US. And I'm from the UK if you didn't know, but I always want to bring you US retailers and discount codes so you also get to experience the fragrances that I am talking about. And my discount code for So Avant-Garde gets you 20% off. Wow, 20% off a niche fragrance is such a big amount in my opinion. So I will pop the discount code on the screen and I will also pop it down in the description box below. So thank you to So Avant-Garde for trusting me to be one of your affiliates. So anyway, that was Silky Woods by Goldfield and Banks. The next fragrance that I want to recommend is by Nishane, and it is Nanshe. And if you're a watcher of my videos, you probably know I'm a big fan of Nishane. It's actually the brand that I have the most of in my collection, I believe. I do need to go and count, but definitely in the top 3 brands in my collection, if not. Now, Nanshe is a little bit different from the normal kind of Nishane DNA. This is definitely a year-round fragrance, and I would say it's quite feminine, but it could be completely unisex. It's a musky, powdery rose with some depth. There's a little bit of jamminess in here too. I think it's a very pretty and elegant fragrance, and I would highly recommend this for all seasons. I'm actually going to read you the notes of this fragrance because it's quite complex, but then I will also describe how I perceive those notes too. The top notes are carrot seeds, cardamom, yuzu, and bergamot, followed by middle notes of rose, floral notes, water fruit, jasmine, and ylang ylang. And then the base notes are powdery notes, orris, sandalwood, musk, and patchouli. And I will say Nanshe pulls pretty similar to that note breakdown, apart from the top notes. I maybe get the carrot seeds a little bit, but I really experience the base and the dry down. So I definitely get lots of rose, and it is a jammy rose as I mentioned, but you do pick out other florals within this. I'm not sure what a water fruit is, and I wouldn't necessarily say this is a watery fragrance. So when you read that note, don't let you think that this is a light and watery fragrance, because it's not. This is a little bit similar to Oud Satin Mood, but they are still very different fragrances, because I'm not a huge fan of Oud Satin Mood. I know that's a big thing. Lots of people love that one. Whereas Nanshe, I would say, is a little bit softer, a little bit less powdery and musky. It's more a sweet powdery vibe that you get from this one. I'm getting other florals too. I just think it's really pretty and really elegant. And if you've never sampled Nanshe by Nishane, then I would recommend getting your nose on this one, because it is actually a standout within the collection, and it's one of their feminine fragrances. And I feel like Nishane is mostly aimed at unisex / masculine leaning, whereas this one to me is just so elegant, so chic and put together. So yeah, I recommend this one highly, and that is Nanshe by Nishane. Next up, we have Nude Veritas by Atelier des Sources. And if you watch my videos regularly, you probably will already know that I really adore Atelier des Sources as a brand. Everything from the fragrances to the brand aesthetic and the people behind it. But we're here to talk about this fragrance in particular. And the way I would describe this is it's very pure and angelic. It smells clean. I don't know, it's just a very pure fragrance. It's that type of clean girl aesthetic, but with a little more edge. It's got florals, it's got musk, and it is just one of the most chic and put together fragrances within my collection. This is going to be a little bit of a weird statement, but this is the type of fragrance that I would wear if I was going to meet royalty, or if I had the pleasure to meet the queen. And it is just that type of pure, classy fragrance. It is definitely an all year round and versatile scent. It has notes of orange blossom, there's osmanthus, jasmine, tiare flower, it's got ambroxan, it's got ambrette in the base, and it's just a very airy, ethereal fragrance. And I feel like this is one that you absolutely have to sample, because it's quite difficult to describe, but it does fit in with that clean girl aesthetic that I talk about quite often on my channel. This is very much the type of fragrance that I would love to wear on an everyday basis. It's the perfect blend of being a little bit musky from the ambrette, but you also have those beautiful florals like the osmanthus that gives a slight apricot smell, and then you've got the orange blossom and jasmine. The ambroxan kind of give it that airiness and boost the sillage. And if you like those fresh and clean, elegant fragrances similar to me, then I would recommend getting your nose on Nude Veritas by Atelier des Sources. The next versatile year-round fragrance that I want to recommend is by Mizensir, and it is Sweet Praline. And this one is very delicious to my nose. It's kind of giving me a spun sugar vibe. I guess the name is Sweet Praline, so that makes sense. There's no actual praline note listed in the breakdown, but you do get that vibe from it. But it also has this gorgeous, juicy raspberry note up top, and I'm a big fan of raspberry in fragrances, and then a hefty dose of ambroxan. And as I mentioned with the previous fragrance, ambroxan really just helps to push that fragrance out and give you a better sillage. And it gives it a beautiful airiness. So tie that airiness in with the spun sugar, and you're left with almost a gourmand. It's not, I wouldn't say this is a gourmand, but it leaves it like a gourmand, but a very airy, effortless and light smelling gourmand, if that makes any sense. I just kind of said the same things over and over again there. but it has this lightness to it, which is what I really enjoy about the composition. It's definitely a sweet fragrance, but it's not overbearing. You have beautiful florals in here too. You have a little bit of incense and then some benzoin in the base. But I do pick out the headwine and the jasmine within the composition. But to my nose, what I mostly get is that spun sugar and the raspberry. I get a little bit of depth from what appears to be a woody note, and then the ambroxan is prominent to me. I think Mizensir makes some of the most beautiful fragrances on the market, and if you've never tried the brand, I would highly recommend doing so. I have a few favorites in my collection, but I feel like Sweet Praline is a beautiful fragrance for all year round because it does really well at balancing that kind of airy, sweet vibe, but then it does have some grounding where you could wear this in the winter and it would still project beautifully from that ambroxan. But it's not going to be a powerhouse. It's not going to be a really deep and dark scent. This is going to be more of an airy, everyday fragrance. The next fragrance is a little bit of an obsession of mine. I adore this one, and it is none other than One Umbrella for Two by Floraiku. Wow. I really, really love One Umbrella for Two. This is the type of fragrance that I reach for if I want to feel happy, I want to feel energized, but I also want something that's perfect for all seasons. It has a mixture of notes that I feel are very appropriate no matter what the weather brings. It has that juicy, really uplifting blackcurrant note, and I absolutely adore the blackcurrant in here. It is delicious, and I would say this teeters on the edge of being a gourmand, but it's not quite all the way there. It's not edible, and I don't find this sickly at all. And the reason why it's not a super sweet and sickly gourmand is because it also has notes of tea and rice. And whilst they are foods or drinks that we enjoy, this stops it from being overly sweet or overbearing, and it takes it in a little bit of a different direction. And I feel like those notes of tea and rice are needed to cut through the blackcurrant, because the blackcurrant note in here to me is almost syrupy. It's sugary, it's been cooked down, so it's got that caramelized vibe to it. And then there is a little bit of musk in here. The notes online don't necessarily describe the fragrance fully to me. I just have an obsession with this. It is definitely one of my newer favorites, and I've had this for maybe 5 months now, but I just can't get over the scent profile. And I believe I've described it to be a little bit like a cooked down berry pie, fresh out of the oven, and it's got a crispy, almost puff pastry, buttery on the top. It's definitely some kind of bakery good with baked syrupy fruits in there somewhere. But then when you wear it on the skin, the rice and the tea start to come through, and then you get a little bit of musk in the dry down too. I believe there's a cedar or a woody note in the base. It is one to be explored, but if you like those types of notes, I would invite you to try this one because I think it's absolutely incredible, and I get so many compliments when I wear this. I will wear this all year round. I think it's totally appropriate. So that is One Umbrella for Two by Floraiku. The next year-round fragrance that I want to recommend is by L'Orchestre Parfum, and it is Piano Santel. And L'Orchestre is another brand that I really resonate with. I like so many fragrances from their collection. But when I was thinking about what scents would make great year-round fragrances / versatile for all seasons, Piano Santel stood out to me because it is a creamy sandalwood fragrance, as the name suggests, but it does have a little bit of a unique edge to it. I've never smelt something quite like this fragrance, and I must say it took me a few tries to fully understand the composition, because if you read the notes online, it has a note of skin, it also has a note of milk, and I just couldn't understand how that would smell. So it did take me a few times to really appreciate the composition of this one. But if you are a sandalwood lover, then you definitely need to get your nose on Piano Santel. It has notes of sandalwood, cashmeran, has the skin and the milk, as I already mentioned. It has a little bit of cumin in here, it has ambroxan, and I believe a musk in the base. And I do actually get a little bit of the cumin. You pick out a little spiciness from here. But in terms of the milk, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a lactonic fragrance. It's just more of a creamy sandalwood, and a very creamy sandalwood for that. Another fragrance of ambroxan, which just picks up those lighter notes and then pushes them out and creates a really beautiful scent bubble. Now, I'm not saying this is a massive projector. It almost does give you that skin scent vibe, but then I guess that's the whole idea of having a skin note in here. It's supposed to almost feel like your skin, but better. However, I do feel like the sandalwood and the cashmeran stop it from being a skin scent as such. It's just very much a lactonic sandalwood fragrance with a tad bit of spice to my nose. And I am picking out a little bit of that cumin and also the musk. It works for all seasons. It's not too heavy of a wood fragrance, which is why you could wear it in the high summer too. And to be honest, I just feel like this is one of the best sandalwood fragrances I have personally tried, just because it really is unique. So I recommend you try Piano Santal if you haven't already, but also recommend you sampling L'Orchestre in general, because I think the brand is incredible. And last, but by no means least, we have Musk Therapy by Initio. I just realized I've picked up Rehab instead of Musk Therapy, but let's just pretend this bottle is Musk Therapy. You might not have even noticed, but Musk Therapy actually has a gold plaque on the front and this one is silver. Anyway, we're talking about Musk Therapy by Initio, and this to me is the most perfect year-round versatile scent. Not only is it in that clean vibe, aesthetic, but it also goes in a little bit of a different direction too. I would say it's perfectly unisex. I would wear this for so many occasions. I even included it in my wedding day fragrances video because I feel like it's just that perfect, inoffensive, but smells really gorgeous too category. It's the type of scent that maybe a more understated person would wear, and that is why I feel like it's very appropriate for all seasons, why it's very appropriate to wear for any type of occasion. It's beautiful and musky, but there's also sweetness coming from black currant and bergamot. And black currant, as you already know, is a note I really enjoy in fragrances. I find it so energizing and uplifting. The same with bergamot. It just gives this a zesty kind of uplifting vibe. There's also a little bit of mandarin in here, which I don't pick up too much, but it adds a beautiful sweetness to the kind of musky cloud that is Musk Therapy. And then you also have magnolia and sandalwood, which gives this a really creamy base. So if I was to describe this, I would say it's kind of an airy, musky fragrance, a little bit creamy, and then there is a sweetness cutting through. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a fragrance that I will reach for without hesitation when I just do not know what to wear and I just want to smell great and get compliments. And Musk Therapy is a fragrance that needs to be tried on the skin. The first time I smelt it in store, I sprayed it on the paper test strip and it wasn't a love. And with most musk fragrances, you really do need to wear them on the skin to let them blossom with your skin chemistry. So if you have only tried this on paper, please do try and get a decant and wear it on the skin. But I highly recommend Musk Therapy from Initio as an all year round fragrance. So that was all of the fragrances that I wanted to discuss in today's video. Were there any that stood out to you? Please do let me know down in the comments. But as always, what I most want to know are what are your fragrance recommendations? And specifically, I want to know your versatile fragrances and the ones that are suitable for year round. Please do let me know down in the comments. As always, you know I always find some incredible incredible recommendations from the comment section. So please do keep them coming. Do not keep them to yourself. Let's share the fragrance love. I hope to see you all in a video to come. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you may be doing. See you soon. Goodbye.